Today I want to talk about some ideas relating to the topic of simultaneous linear equations. It's playing around with some ideas about what maths we can get from a situation where we have two linear equations and they can be represented by straight lines on a graph grid, and I think you can probably see that if you have two straight lines on a graph grid, they intersect somewhere. So the topic simultaneous equations or simultaneous linear equations deals with the situation where you have two linear equations and think about where they intersect. Now on the screen here, what I've done is I've written down two simple simultaneous equations, and I've labelled them 1 and 2. I've drawn the graph of the first one over here. It has a slope of 2 and has a y-intercept of 2. There's the y-intercept, and the slope is 2. It goes along 2 and up 4. That's a rise of 4, a run of 2, so it has a slope of 2. And to draw the graph of the next one, equation 2, what I'll do is I'll just do what you should know how to do already, is just plot a few points. What I'll do is I'll put x equal to 0 into equation 2, and I'll have y equal to negative 2 times 0 plus 6, which is positive 6. So the point 0, 6 lies on the graph. And just to find another point, I'll put x equal to, say, 2 into the graph. Y equals, into the equation, sorry, y equals negative 2 times 2 plus 6, which will give you negative 4 plus 6, which is positive 2. So the point 2, 2 lies on the graph. So I'll draw those points in. So I've got 2 points which lie on the graph of equation 2, and we'll draw a line through those 2 points to have a look at that. So this is the line y equals negative 2x plus 6. As you can see, they intersect each other at this point here, and the coordinates of that point there are 1, 4. Now that point is fairly important. What we've shown here is if we have two linear equations, in this case y equals 2x plus 2 and y equals negative 2x plus 6, they both can be represented by straight lines on a graph grid, and they must intersect somewhere. In this case, they intersect at the point 1, 4. Now this set of values, x equal to 1 and y equal to 4, is called the solution set of that pair of equations. Why it's called the solution set is that it it's a set of numbers which make both equations true. So for example, if we put in x equal to 1, or we substitute x equal to 1 into equation 1, equation 1 was y equals what was it, 2x plus 2. If we substitute x equal to 1 into that, we get 2 times 1 plus 2, which is 4. And so it makes the equation true. If we put x equal to 1 into equation 2, equation 2 is negative 2x plus 6, y equal negative 2x plus 6. We'll put equation x equal to 1 to equation 2. We'll get negative 2 times 1 plus 6, which is negative 2 plus 6, which again is 4. So in both cases, x equals 1, y equals 4 satisfies both of those equations. And so it's called the solution of those two simultaneous equations. So just summarising, in this situation here, we just made up these two simultaneous equations, and we found that the coordinates 1, 4 lie at the point of intersection of the two lines, and we say that x equals 1, y equals 4 is the solution set of these two equations. If you're asked to solve those two linear equations, you're being asked to find really the point of intersection, or the solution set 1, 4. Now, your graphing calculator can do this, and all graphing calculators seem to be very different, so you're going to have to learn how to use your graphing calculator to put in the two equations and ask the graphing calculator to find this point of intersection 1, 4. That's going to be a task for you. If you have a Casio class pad, it's pretty easy. If you have a Sharp or a Texas Instrument, it might be a bit more complicated. It's up to you to get used to knowing how your graphing calculator can solve these two, can solve a pair of simultaneous equations. There is another way of solving these equations, and that's algebraically, and that's a skill you also have to learn to develop in this section. The next video will go into two different techniques to solve simultaneous equations algebraically, but just to show you that you get the same sort of answer as you had up above here, where we'll get the solution 1, 4. Let's look at these two equations and we'll label them 1 and 2 again. Here's the technique. You may not get it the first time. You'll need to practice on lots of different equations to know how to go and what steps to take. Depending on the form of the equations, you'll take different steps. Now, what we're going to do in this particular case here is we're going to do some clever things, and that's what you're going to have to learn how to do, some clever things. Watch this. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add equation 1 and equation 2. Sorry, no I'm not. I'm going to take equation 2 from equation 1. I've just realised I've done the wrong thing. So I'm going to take equation 2 from equation 1. So it's going to be y minus y on this side. And then on this side, it's going to be 2x plus 2, which is equation 1. And I'm going to take from it the right-hand side of equation 2, negative 2x plus 6. Now I'm going to collect up the terms and do just some adding and subtracting. Y minus y is 0. This is 2x plus 2. There's a negative 1 here. So it's negative times negatives, which will make that positive. So it's positive 2x. And negative 1 times positive 6 will be negative 6. Now collecting up the like terms, I've got 2x and 2x, which makes 4x, and 2 takes 6 makes negative 4. Just reorganising this equation here, if I add 4 to both sides, I'll get 4 equals 4x plus negative 4 plus 4. That's adding 4 to both sides. That means that they are cancelled out, and I'll have 4 equals 4x. Just going up here a bit more. We'll have, reversing the order of that, we'll have 4x equals 4. Divide both sides of that equation by 4, and we'll have x equals 1. And what you can see is, out has come this number here, x equal to 1. To find out what y is, we just substitute x equal to 1 into one of these equations. Let's substitute x equal to 1 into equation 1. We'll have y equals 2 times 1 plus 2, which is 4. So y equals 4. What we found here algebraically is that the solution set is 1, 4, or x equals 1, y equals 4. Now that's called solving those linear equations, simultaneous linear equations algebraically, and that's one of the skills that you have to develop in this section of work.